Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. I'm your host, Matt Castor. I am joined this morning with Alexis Becker. Good morning, Alexis.
Good morning.
Are you excited to be here again today?
Always.
It's Gala week. Are you ready for Gala?
I cannot wait. I'm super excited.
Oh, man. We've been talking about this for, since as long as I've worked here.
Me too.
Yeah, which isn't very long, but it's a big week. So this is our big annual fundraiser week, and we are so excited to join all of our friends and family here at USA Cares at the wonderful downtown Marriott and celebrate veterans, celebrate this country, and just have a great time raising money to help veterans and their families.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a great week. We have had a string of guests on this podcast. Thank you to all those people who have subscribed, who've chosen to be a part of this podcast and be part of our family. This has been just a great string of guests, just sharing the stories, not only of their service, but just of overcoming obstacles, overcoming life, and getting through and giving a lot of people hope. And Alexis, you've been a big part of that, getting a lot of these guests on and helping them share their stories. So thank you for that.
It is my pleasure.
And I understand that your mom watches this podcast.
She does.
What's her name?
Charlene.
You want to say hi?
Hi, Mom.
There you go.
And Dad. Can't forget Dad.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot back from people, even this week. I've heard from two people already this week who say that, hey, I started listening to the podcast and I was just really moved by some of the stories that I heard. And they were thanking us for doing this. And it's really such an honor to be able to do it. But I'm so glad to know that these stories are giving some people hope, giving them some encouragement. That's what we're here for. And so I hope you'll keep watching. I hope you'll subscribe and just continue to be a part of this. So jumping right in, today we have another one of those special guests.
Yes, we sure do.
So Miss Emily Chambers is going to be joining us and just sharing a little bit of her powerful story and her involvement, her family's involvement with the military, and kind of some of the things that she's come through in life. So again, these are stories of hope, stories of encouragement, and we're so honored to have every single guest on. So Emily, are you with us?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being on.
Of course.
Are you excited to be here on the podcast?
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I'm so excited.
I was hoping you'd say that because it would have been rough if you said, no, I don't really want to be here. So, but thank you so much for being on. This is, like I was saying, this is just a great chance to share some stories and give some people some hope. So that's what it's all about. But when did you got involved with USA Cares back in 2004, correct?
That's correct.
So early on. So USA Cares started in 2003, so it was still in its infancy. And we talked a little bit. You shared some of your story with us, a very powerful story, and I know one that's not been easy to tell over the years. But I appreciate you being willing to come on and just talk about it a little bit. Would you mind kind of walking us through kind of who you are, what you've done, and why you're here to share a story on our podcast?
Sure. So I have a lot of identifiers in life. Of course, in my adult life, I'm a mom. But 20 some odd years ago, I was a college student at UK. And as college students do, we were gathering as friends at friends' houses, and I met a tall, handsome U.S. Marine who was also born and raised in Lexington and my age, but I'd never met him prior to this setting in college. So he was just here for the weekend, and we hit it off. Nick Diereff was his name. Mm-hmm. And we started dating each other. He eventually asked me to marry him, which I gladly accepted. And we married in January 2004. And then I went to California to live with him after our marriage for just a short while before he was set to redeploy to Iraq. It was his second tour. And once he did redeploy that February, I came on back to Lexington to just, get our life started and get a job. I had just graduated college. I was setting up our home. I was getting all of our things settled. And in April 2004, so just 3 months after our marriage, I got a knock on the door, the knock that nobody wants to get. And it was the Marine officials here in Lexington, the CACO officers, here to tell me that Nick had been killed in action.
Wow.
So it was a huge blow, of course, as you can imagine.
Oh, I can't imagine. I can't imagine at that age too. That's
right.
You're just getting life started. So that's I'm sure it was overwhelming.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know hardly any other, or I didn't at the time know hardly any other 21, 22-year-old young person who was also now a widow.
Yeah.
Who'd only been married for 3 months and now is a widow and having to make all kinds of decisions, whether it be from funeral arrangements to life insurance decisions, just to how to put one foot in front of the other at 22 years old. It was a huge blow. I'm sure.
Now, when you got married, did you know that you had some idea that he was being deployed?
We did.
Yeah.
We did know that the redeployment was going to happen. In fact, that's why we sort of got married as quickly as we did, because we just wanted everything to be in place. And because, you see, Nick was also ready to get out of the Marine Corps. He had served his time. So his discharge date would have been October 2004.
Oh, okay.
So he was just 6 months shy of getting out. So we had all this grand plan in our minds, pictured perfectly, that I graduated, we got married, we moved to California, then I came back to Lexington, got our lives started, and I was just going to, continue to hold the fort down until October when he was set to get out. Except, of course, those plans were interrupted.
Right. One of the common themes that I hear from people that we have on this podcast and share their stories, or veterans, is that they had this idea what their life was going to be like, either in the service or after the service, or if it's a spouse of a service member, what their life was going to be like. And rarely does it turn out the way that they had envisioned it. In your case, it was turned completely upside down. And so how do I imagine you go through the stages of grief and you get through the initial shock, then what? And I'm sure that's what you were asking yourself. Now what, right? But
exactly.
Then what happens?
Exactly. So in our grief, in our immense grief, we just had this overwhelming need to let Nick's name live on. And how were we going to do that? And so we, as a family, and that's, my parents, Nick's parents, his oldest brother, and some just one or two very close friends, were sort of brainstorming. And this was very soon after his death, like within a week of his death, we were having these brainstorming sessions, and we just knew that we needed to turn our grief. We needed to take that hurtful, negative energy and put it into something positive that we could honor and remember Nick by.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking of a nonprofit. We wanted to raise funds to help Marine families in the Bluegrass area. But we didn't have any of the systems. We had this great idea, but we had no implementation. We didn't know what to do. And raising funds was not an issue at all. People were so generous in their giving in the initial stages after Nick's death, because it was all over the news, very publicized at the time. He was the first in Fayette County to lose his life in the war, so it was hugely public, as you can imagine.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was actually a friend of my father's, a colleague and coworker of my father's, that knew about USA Cares, which at that point had been in existence for about a year. And he told my father, he said, "Listen, I know what you guys are trying to do. I also know that there's an organization that is not only Kentucky based, but it's also doing things very similar to what you want to do. But rather than just helping Marine families, they are helping military families across all branches of service. Maybe you guys should have a conversation. Yeah. Maybe you should see if there's some commonality or some ways for you all to work together." And that was the beginning stages of how I became involved with USA Cares.
Unbelievable. It's fascinating to me. My faith is important to me, and I believe that yours is too. But I think there's a way that God uses people and directs them and rearranges their lives in ways that they're going to be incredibly productive and incredibly helpful to so many people. And it sounds like that's the case in your life.
Absolutely. There were a lot of dark moments where you question your faith in God.
Sure.
And why me, why Nick, why us? But then, like you said, he in his way has his way of leading you and guiding you down the path that you need to take, so you can perhaps be help to countless others. And hopefully we've had a small part in that. Absolutely.
So you took part in, you were telling me, and I'm going to mess this up because that's what I do sometimes. but you took part in a Marine Corps marathon, correct?
I did. Yes.
Tell me a little more about that.
In 2019.
Yeah.
So, okay. In 2019, well, let me back up just a smidge if I can.
Yep.
After I had twin daughters in 2011 and then a son in 2015, and I knew that our family was complete at that point. Yep. And I was like, it's time to get back to myself, right? The last however many years have been dedicated to trying to get pregnant or getting pregnant and then, raising these infants. And so I was ready to kind of give back to myself. And so I've sort of changed my health and fitness. And in the process, my best friend, who is an avid runner and a very skilled runner, convinced me to start running. And so it was a very slow process, but with her, I began to run. And so over the years, she has done many marathons, and I always just sort of in passing, because who's ever going to run a marathon?
Right. That's crazy.
Passing, I would say, if I ever run a marathon, it would be the Marine Corps marathon. Oh. And careful what you say.
Yeah, people do remember that.
Yeah, she never forgot that. And then again, just another sort of provincial moment where all these pieces came together in 2019, which happened to be the 15-year death anniversary for Nick.
Wow.
We wanted to do something big to honor him. And so initially it was just she and I, the two of us, that were going to train for this marathon. But as we began to tell our story and what we were doing and why we were doing it, others wanted to join us. So over the course of a few months, all of a sudden we have a team of about 13 people that are now running the marathon with me for Nick to honor him.
Wow.
So the Marine Corps Marathon is a difficult marathon to get in as an individual, much less trying to get 13 people in together.
Yeah.
So one way that we decided that we could all be a part of this marathon was to run for a charity, which guaranteed our bib numbers.
Yeah.
And then we would have the ability and the option to raise money for this charity. So we did. We decided to join forces with TAPS, Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors.
Fantastic organization. Yep.
It is. And certainly was near and dear to my heart for the support that it showed me in 2004 in the initial stages after Nick's death. So again, it was just a beautiful marriage of all of us wanting to run in honor of Nick, doing it for TAPS, raising money for TAPS. We ended up we were the top grossing team for TAPS that year. It was huge. It was amazing.
That's so cool. Well, good. Yeah. And then you've gone on to do a few other things too, right? There was is there a climbing event?
There's going to be.
I'm going to uncover all of your good stuff here. We're gonna tell all your stories. So.
Well, you're on this high after you get back from a marathon, just this natural, wonderful high. And I was perusing the internet one night, and I'm like, "What are we going to do next? What's our next thing that we're going to do to honor Nick. And on Facebook, I just came across an ad, something that was advertising Gold Star Peak. And I was like, oh, okay, what's this? Click on it. And there is a mountain in Alaska near Anchorage that has been dedicated and named Gold Star Peak. So people in my position, Gold Star families or veterans or anybody, even a civilian who just wanted to pay their respects, can contact this nonprofit, arrange a time to come climb the mountain. It's about a 3,000 foot climb, and spend some time up at the summit, just reflecting, maybe leave a little piece, a token or a piece of memorabilia about your lost or loved one, and just enjoy the day out in nature, and just another way, again, to honor and never forget the ones that we've lost.
So important. So important.
My husband and I are doing that. Yes. In 3 weeks?
Wow. That's so awesome. I can't wait to hear more about it. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Well, the life of a military spouse, as I said earlier, is a difficult thing. And going through a tragedy as you have is overwhelming. Who are those people that really have stuck by you ever since? Because you get a rush of people. Anytime there's a tragedy, you get a rush of people in the beginning. And then there's a lot of those people will fade. Not because they don't care, but just because life goes on. And who are those people that really stuck with you the whole time, who are there supporting you, loving you the whole time, and helped get you through all that?
So definitely my parents. I mean, I don't know how a parent survives something like that. Now that I am a parent, your child's joys are your joys. Your child's triumphs and then heartaches are also your triumphs and heartaches. Right. And so, when I was 21 and had just lost my husband, of course, I was not a parent at the time. And somebody was trying to explain to me that my mother was hurting doubly so. She was hurting because she just lost her son-in-law, but she was hurting also for me. Yeah. And it's not, it wasn't until years later, being a mother myself, that I can sort of relate to what that person was trying to describe to me. So undoubtedly, my parents have been steadfast by me the whole time and continue to be. If there's ever maybe a dream that I had of Nick that was wonderful, but also, upsetting in the same token, because I wake up, joyful that I was dreaming of him, but sad that I don't have him. Yeah. I can call my mom and tell her about that. And she will tear up with me or laugh with me or whatever is needed. And there's other organizations and folks that I credit to helping me get through those initial stages of grief. And then also just continuing to make it to this point today. And you guys, USA Cares is certainly one of those organizations that we have always been connected at one point or another since 2004. And it's no secret that I credit the work that we did and I did for USA Cares to helping me survive those initial months and years after Nick's death.
What kind of support was that through USA Cares? That was long before my time with the organization, long before Alexis's time with the organization. So what kind of support was that through USA Cares that helped?
I actually was on staff with USA Cares. The mission, and so the Corporal Nick Dira Fund is what we named our nonprofit, but we joined forces with USA Cares. So we were one and the same. Yeah. But it was just important to our family to keep Nick's name out there. So I was on staff with USA Cares. In an outreach role. I was the outreach director at the time. So I got to go travel the nation, educating military bases about our nonprofit so that they knew to use us if they needed us. Yeah. But also in doing so, I got to tell Nick's story and our story and how I came to know USA Cares. And so it fulfilled my heart. I got to tell countless people about this wonderful man that I met, and then also this wonderful organization who was here for them when and if they should need it.
Yeah. There's a lot of healing in that, isn't there?
Amazing amounts of healing, yes.
Yeah. He's never gone if you keep talking about him and if you keep his memory alive. And you've done an amazing job of that. And I just can't imagine how many people you have probably helped that you'll never know that you helped just by sharing that story and being brave enough to talk about it. And it's just incredible to me, the strength that you have to do that.
Thank you. And that's the goal. I mean, I certainly hope that is the ripple effects that our initial travels with USA Cares had.
Yep.
We're just, and the organization is alive and well today, long after the fact. So hopefully those initial steps that we put forth way back when have had some impact on what we're doing today.
Absolutely. And you were my predecessor because I'm now outreach. So you set the bar a little high for me, but I will do my best. And we're not going to let you escape the organization either. So we're going to keep you busy and keep you involved. And looking to do a lot more stuff around the Kentucky area with you in the coming years.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're getting ready to kind of relaunch this is a sneak peek behind the curtain here, but we're getting ready to relaunch the Kentucky chapter of USA Cares and kind of a combination of Louisville and Lexington. And excited to get your family involved in that in the coming future. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So you've got some little ones, right?
I do. I have twin 10-year-old daughters and a 6-year-old son.
Oh my goodness. And there was a birthday recently?
Yep. The girls turned 10 just on August 1st a couple days ago, and Nate's 6 on July 8th.
Nice. Alexis, go ahead and sing happy birthday to them.
I thought you were the singer.
Right. No.
Not me.
No, not so much.
I don't think you want that.
Well, happy birthday to them. That's fantastic.
Thanks.
So for me, over the years, and one of the reasons I got into nonprofit was because I found such a release in doing that work and in being a part of it, that so much so that I wanted it to become my main focus as my career. And I've just absolutely loved it. And I know that you've gotten more and more involved in nonprofits, even outside of veteran nonprofits, over the years as well. What are some other groups that you are involved with?
There's a local nonprofit here in Lexington called Her Night Dance, and it's Night, Knight. It is a father-daughter dance that we put on in Lexington for daughters ranging from ages 4 to 12. And it's an opportunity for those girls to witness God's love through their fathers. And it's like a prom. I mean, it's a high-end, well-run event that these young girls love to come to. It's actually been in existence for 11 years now. So we've had enough girls cycle through that they have now cycled out. Maybe they started with us when they were 2 or 3 or 4. We did, for a while, allow 2-year-olds to come. And now that they're 12 and they have cycled out of our age demographic. So it's such a neat organization, and to see the daughters and the fathers coming through the doors and the smiles, honestly, it's one of those things where my cheeks hurt after the event just because I've smiled so much.
I bet.
I just love it so much.
What a fantastic organization. That's as a dad of 3 girls, I love that idea. I wish my girls were younger and I could be a part of that, because it sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
And a great reminder to dads, because we're not always great at this, but just a good reminder just to stop and tell our daughters how special they are to us. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. It's a neat organization.
If somebody wants to learn more about that organization, how would they learn more?
hernightdance.org.
Fantastic.
It's a beautiful website. Lots of videos and pictures from our events.
Great. So what's next for you? What are you doing these days? How do you continue to stay busy?
So, listen, mom of 3.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is a loaded question.
Works. I do not have a lack of things to do.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Between the kids' sports and my own job and being the CEO of our household, it's a busy day.
Absolutely. And you've got the gala coming up.
Mm-hmm. The gala, I love the gala. It's such a wonderful event.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it meets the demographic that it honors veterans very well, but also if you're someone that's not familiar with a military or a military ceremony or service and you come, it really gives you a nice insight to what those types of events are like.
Yeah.
And it pays appropriate respect also while honoring appropriately. I mean, and that's kind of that's a monumental task if you think about it, to cater to both of those types of people. And it does it so beautifully. It's an event we look forward to every year.
Is it an emotional event?
For sure. Oh, yes. There's always tissues in my purse or my husband's jacket.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Yeah. It's, I've not been able to attend. So this is my first one and Alexis as well. And we've had a big hand in planning it. So we've been able to see kind of what's coming. But I look forward to attending it. And I hear all these people talk about how it kind of stirs up the emotions in them and it reminds them of people and of situations and of times and how much it means to them. And it sounds like a very powerful experience. So I'm excited to see it.
You're in for a treat. And powerful experience, those are appropriate words. You're right.
So you've been involved in chapters in the past with USA Cares, right?
Correct. Yes. In Lexington.
In Lexington. What were some what were some things that happened with that? What were some things that you all were able to accomplish?
So we were the Bluegrass chapter in Lexington, and we had a few events that were beneficial to the organization, and we enjoyed doing it. And then, of course, life and COVID happened, and so we sort of lost our way for a little bit, but I'm excited to hear that there's going to be sort of a relaunch between Louisville and Lexington.
Absolutely.
And
do you think the two cities can get along?
There was always that, like who can do it better, Louisville or Lexington?
Right.
But
there's
now
always
we'll
that.
be doing it together.
I never realized until I moved to Kentucky 10 years ago how insane both cities actually are. Like, I don't know why they can't just get along, but they seem to battle it out.
Yes, it's the Battle of 64.
It is. Maybe we should have put it in Frankfurt so everybody can just get along, but
we'll
figure it out. But I'm excited. You know, the chapters are popping up all over the place. Alexis, you're going to have to help me remember all the cities that we're in, but San Diego, Denver, help me here.
Austin.
St. Louis area, Austin, Texas, Washington, D.C.
Cincinnati.
Am I missing any? I think I've got them all.
Florida.
We're working on Florida. We're working on Florida. If anybody's listening in Florida, chime right in. But we're seeing such a movement across the country of people who just want to. They're seeing that, oh wow, this is a way I can actually do something. This is a way I can give back. This is a way I can help. And a lot of them are inspired by, maybe they didn't serve themselves, but they're inspired by somebody close to them who did, and they're able to get the word out that there are a lot of veterans in need right now. At the moment, there are more than we can help, to be quite frank. And this is a way that people can raise awareness, that they can raise funds, that they can get their children involved, that they can make their children not only see that they can help people who have served our country, but just how to live a life of volunteerism. And these chapters are so very important. If anybody is out there in one of those cities we mentioned and would like to be a part of it, reach out today, become a member of one of those chapters, and become part of this USA Cares family. If you're not sure where the chapters are or how to do it, check out usacares.org and go to the chapters tab. We've got a map on there that highlights all of these cities and gives you contact information. So make sure you do that. Emily, you were big in getting that Bluegrass chapter started, and we're just going to kind of breathe some more life back into it after COVID and get it, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just recharge.
Re-energize.
Yeah, thank you. And I will invite you to definitely be a big part of that. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I know that all the Duncans and Chambers and Dira family we'd love to help as we can.
Absolutely. And now you've just volunteered them all. So they're all on the hook now.
See how I did that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Emily, is there anything that, coming on a podcast like this and people are going to hear your story, is there anything that you want to make sure that you say? Is there anything you want to make sure that they know?
So I would just encourage anybody listening that if you yourself or you know of someone who has gone through a tragic loss similar to perhaps what I went through, or anything, I mean, it doesn't even have to be military related. Just, I would say let those people be where they are in their grief. A lot of times folks, and everybody was trying to be helpful. So this is not me being ugly by any stretch, but a lot of times folks would say, well, you'll be okay next week, or give it a year, you'll do this. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
How do you know what my grief timetable looks like, what that looks like?
Wow.
And so just meet them where they are and just love them. And it's okay to not know what to say. And it's okay just to say, I'm really sorry that happened to you. How can I help?
Yeah.
And those words probably go further than anything else.
Because it's not something you get over. It's not. You're not going to be better. You're going to be different, right? And that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Well, you are an inspiration, and I want you to know that you have touched a lot of people. I know Alexis and I were really moved to be able to talk to you and learn more about you. And I'm just. It sounds corny, but I'm proud of you. I really am. I think it's amazing what you've accomplished, and just thank you for your bravery.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you all continuing the USA Cares legacy. I know the organization is in fantastic hands. Look forward to seeing you guys in person on Saturday at the gala.
That'll be fun.
It will be fun. It'll be a great time.
Well, thank you for being with us. It's really been a pleasure, and we're going to do this again sometime. Okay.
Sounds great.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, Alexis, we've got some big stuff coming up. I want to take a minute again to direct people to usacares.org. There's so much going on but they can get on there. They can learn about chapters. What other things should they be looking at?
You can learn about chapters. You can join our monthly giving program, the Cadence program. We are going to be gearing up for Gift for Good Louisville. It is a 24-hour. Oh my gosh,
it's right around the corner.
I know.
I hope you're ready.
I'm always ready.
Yeah.
Always ready. But it's a 24-hour give-a-thon. And you don't have to be here in Louisville to do that.
And you can give as much as you want, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there is no limit.
There's no cap.
No limit.
Thank you to the Community Foundation of Louisville for putting that on.
Yeah, it's a great program.
But we also, we have all kinds of programs. So at heart, if you don't know USA Cares very well, we are helping military families who are going through hard times. And we're also helping military members transition from a career of service to the civilian sector, which is for people who have not experienced that, it's not an easy thing to do. So we help from everything from preparing a resume to interview practicing to just introductions to companies who really want to hire our veterans and make it as smooth of a transition as we can. The other end of what we do is that we help people, like I mentioned, going through difficult times. Right now, we have a surge of people who are facing eviction, who are facing foreclosure, who are looking at losing their car to repossession. And USA Cares stands ready to assist those veterans by giving them grants. These grants do not need to be repaid. They're not on the hook for anything. It's just our way of giving back because people generously give to us. So as a donor, know that that's where your money's going. As a military member, know that we stand ready to help you and we want you to reach out. And learn all of this at usacares.org. Get involved today. Subscribe to this podcast. This is a way not so we can promote our organization, but so that we can celebrate veterans and their families. Celebrate those people who have put their lives on hold to be able to serve their country And we are so grateful for all of them.
Yes.
There are other ways you can learn more about us on social media. What are those platforms?
We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name
Come on
it,
now.
LinkedIn. I
LinkedIn,
know.
there you go.
We're everywhere. We're very social. We're very active. So join the conversation. Reach out to us. Talk to us. We want to hear from you.
Absolutely. We are honored that you joined us again for another episode of the USA Cares podcast. We love having you part of this. Let's keep it going. Let's keep sharing stories, and we look forward to being back here with you next week. Thank you all.
Bye.